Greetings. I'm just about to embark on a little side project and I thought I'd take you lot along with me for the ride. I was digging around through the back of one of my cupboards the other day and I found this. Now, this is the main board to my old Amiga 500 that I had many years ago. It's incomplete, it's all I've got really is just the main board. I also have an Amiga keyboard, which isn't the original one. I think I got this from a guy in Germany at some point. I think I got it to connect up to a PC actually through an Arduino. But I do have a keyboard. I have the main board. And yes, it's not stock, as you can tell. Those who are a little more eagle-eyed will have noticed this in the corner. Let's focus down on it. I have started actually replacing the power supply on it because I don't have a power supply. So what I'm doing here, I've taken off the power connector, which is a custom one made by Commodore and nigh on impossible to get hold of. I've taken that off and I've connected a standard barrel jack direct into the 12 volt input. Also from that, I've connected a 3 amp 5 volt UBEC or switching power supply, which then feeds into the 5 volt input on here. I'm waiting for a minus 12 volt power inverter circuit to arrive, which I'm also going to wire in. The aim of that is that the whole system can then be powered off one single standard 12 volt input, which is an awful lot simpler than the huge power bricks that these things used to come with. So it should quite happily be powered off a power supply as small as this. A considerable improvement. Now, all I know about this board at the moment is that it powers on. I don't know whether any of it actually works properly or not. All I can do without all the rest of the equipment is just test the video output. So for that I've got a small composite to HDMI adapter box, runs off a 5 volt USB power supply, into the composite input, composite output rather, and power through the 12 volt power supply. And with any luck, let's plug that in. There we go. We have Amiga Workbench version 1.3. So the board itself is functioning. It just is going to take quite a lot of work to get it into a state where I'll be able to play my favourite game of all time, Turrican 2. So my plans for this then. It's not going to be your average Amiga 500. What I'm going hopefully to do, you'll have noticed the image was black and white just then. That's not because of the conversion to HDMI or anything like that. That's because the Amiga's composite output is black and white. The only way to get colour is through the monitor output, which is a 23 pin D connector, which has an RGB signal in analog with sync signals to go with it. But there's no colour in the composite. So what I'm going to need to do is take the analog RGB signal and convert that into HDMI, because I would like this to be able to connect direct up to HDMI. Normally you would have a great big modulator dongle thing that you plug in the back, which converts it into an RF signal for your TV. I certainly don't want an RF signal for my TV because I don't have a TV. All I have is monitors. I mean, who has a TV these days? If it's not on your phone in front of your face or on your computer screen, who cares about it now? So it definitely needs to go to HDMI. So for that I've ordered, it's on its way, an a SCART to HDMI adapter. Now the listing on eBay says that it does both RGB and composite. So fingers crossed it'll take the RGB signal from here, upscale it to HDMI and give me a colour image on the screen. So that's my first step. Second step is the finishing the power system. This is temporary at the moment, really, just to get it working and just see if it actually operates. I would like to replace this with a custom built power supply board that gives me both the 5 volt and the minus 12 volts. The minus 12 volts only actually used for the audio circuitry, so it's very low current. So a simple charge pump inverter circuit should do the job. So I would like to tidy that up. I'm going to need, obviously, a floppy drive. I don't know if this will even boot into Workbench yet. I've got no floppy drive for it. I'm going to try with a standard 1.44 meg PC floppy drive. I vaguely recall experimenting in the past with these PC floppy drives on it, and it kind of worked, I think. I seem to remember there being some issue about detecting the presence of it or changing of a disk. So I'll try it and we'll see what happens. If not, then I may need to make a few modifications to it to support the disk presence signal, or we'll see. I don't know. Unless, of course, I can get hold of a genuine Amiga floppy drive, although those are like hen's teeth now and so old they're all dying. So it would be nice to just use a standard PC floppy drive. It might also mean that I could get high density out of it, the full 1.44 meg. The next thing that I also need to do, once I've confirmed that it'll actually boot up, I don't have a mouse. I could trawl through eBay and places like that to try and find a genuine Amiga mouse or an aftermarket replacement mouse for it. But what I'm going to do instead is I've got a PS2 mouse in the drawer, and I'm going to see if I can build a circuit, probably using an Arduino or similar board, that will convert the PS2 mouse into an Amiga mouse. So then you can use any PS2 mouse you like with it. Now, I've done a little bit of reading, and the mouse input on the Amiga is very, very simple and straightforward. It's basically the direct signals from the rotary encoders. So I could theoretically actually just get two little rotary encoders and just wire them straight in. Then you've got vertical and horizontal on two knobs, but not really practical. So I'm going to see if I can build an adapter circuit that'll turn the PS2 signals into the differential encoder signals that the Amiga expects. And yes, it'll be an Arduino probably to do that. It will also want more memory. I do have the A500 trapdoor 0.5 megabyte chip RAM and real-time clock expansion card. This just plugs into here and doubles the memory. You've got 0.5 meg of chip RAM. Chip RAM, by the way, is memory that is accessible by Fat Agnes, who's the DMA controller here. That allows direct communication between the memory and the audio and graphics chips. This board doubles that to 1 megabyte of chip RAM. But that's not all I'm going to want. I'm going to want more memory. There's also what's called fast RAM, which is memory which is directly connected to the 68,000 CPU, normally through the Zorro slot on the side here. And what I'd like to do is design and build my own memory expansion. I've got a couple of 8-bit static RAM chips tucked away in the drawer, and I'd like to build those into a board to just plug into the side here to give me more memory. In theory, it should only require a bit of decoding logic and the chips, and obviously a big edge connector. The connection to it is pretty straightforward. It's just this, that's just the 68,000 processor bus. And there's already areas in the memory map reserved specifically for memory. So it should just be a matter of just wiring the memory in, and the kickstart will probe that area and identify that the memory exists. Being static RAM, there's no need to worry about CAS and RAS signals for refreshing the memory and things like that. It's just a straight address decoding, throw it out to the RAM chips, connect the data lines, and that should be it. So we'll see what happens with that as time goes on. And of course I don't have a case for this either. So the final thing that I will do, once everything else is working, is I'm going to design and build my own case for this. I have no idea how I'm going to do it yet or what I'm going to build it out of. I do quite like, there's a channel called DIY Perks. You should go check him out. He's a fellow guy called Matt. All the best guys are. And he does all sorts of custom cases and building computers into desks and things like that. And he has done some wonderful computer cases using brass and leather. And it gives a really good steampunk aesthetic to it. And I'm tempted to have a go at something like that. Have it all brass and leather and yeah. But we'll see. It may end up just a wooden box, who knows. So that's my plans for this rather dusty, old, decrepit A500 motherboard. So I hope you'll join me along for the ride as we take this journey together. So until next time, thank you for watching. I've been Matt and you've been wonderful.